What's going on, y'all? Welcome in. We got a playoff-ridden Monday edition of Wake Up Barstool 48. T-Bob A-Bear, Brandon Walker, Dave Portnoy. We got Coach Gruden and Greg Olsen stopping by for the G-Spot. We also got Coach Gruden Shreds the Line. And like I said, playoff football to break down in both the NFL and college. And it all starts now on FS1. Happy Monday, guys. Hope you are enjoying our 5-day stretch of playoff football. One more tonight. Excited to get to that. Brandon, what's up? Hope you had a great weekend. We also got Meek Phil and Liam Plutman here behind the glass. But you see the hat. Patriot Dave remains hot. Drake May's first playoff test. And, well, maybe May's not the story of the game, but the Patriots dominate the Chargers. And the only playoff game of the weekend that wasn't really close. Dave, how we feeling fresh off of another playoff victory?
Well, yeah, it's been a little bit. Obviously, great weekend of football. Patriots, Chargers were clearly the least entertaining of the games. You absolutely don't care when you're a fan of the team at this time of season. It's survive and advance. It's getting to the tournament. The defense was dominant. And I just got to say, you guys heard me say it right before the break. And this I cannot accept, okay? This I cannot accept. So I was getting into it with Charger fans before the game. I am a Justin Herbert truther, as they say in the business. I have not liked him since he came out of college. I didn't like the way he played in his senior year in college. I haven't liked how he's played in big games in the NFL. And all you hear in the word is if Bert. You know, if this, if that, if his offensive line did this, if he did this. I have not seen anything that made me fear this guy. So I'm going into it with a guy, and let me pull it up here. And I just saw this before the show. I'm going into this guy called Bolt's Galaxy, obviously a fan account
locked in
of the San Diego Chargers. And he's going back. He'll shut you up on Sunday. You don't know what you're talking about. He was great in college. He has protected his tweets. He has gone dark. That you cannot do that in this great game of ours called Talking Trash. You want to get in the ring, you get humbled. Herbert, if Bert is everything that I say is, and let me say, he got absolutely murdered in the fourth quarter, late into the fourth quarter. In the first half, he did not. In fact, Chris Collinsworth couldn't shut up about how well they were protecting him. He had plenty of time. He wasn't making plays with his feet or his arm. He was doing nothing. Yes, at the end of the game, the fourth quarter, last couple drives, absolutely brutalized. And no quarterback could do anything with the heat they were getting the last couple series. When you're down 2 scores, you know it's coming. But he had plenty of time. I thought the first half to the 3 quarters, Drake May was under far more duress than Herbert was. And I think T-Bob, you're a Herbert.
I'm a Herbert guy. Yeah.
And this is, sometimes you got to just trust the guy who's been in this business since the beginning of the internet, who's been doing it for 2 decades. When these eyeballs, they're baby blue, tell you a guy can't do it, he can't do it. He's one of the great. If Bert's perfect. Andrew Luck, another example. And yes, he retired too soon. Skill set, this, that, didn't do anything. Katie Nolan in the media business, another one. She's great, this, that, if everything around her is perfect. No, there's some people, you got to see them. Now, that narrative can change, okay? He can change it. Caleb Williams has changed it pretty quick for me. I didn't think he was the guy. Caleb Williams has I've done a 180 on him. This guy's a great player, and the Bears have their guy. But Justin Herbert, 0 playoff wins, 6 seasons. This guy, how long do we make excuses for him? And by the way, Patriots defense look great. They're not that great. They haven't been that great all season, and they really weren't getting any heat early in the game. Great win for the Patriots. Herbert is who we thought he was. We move on. I got to scout this game tonight. Overall, a great weekend of playoffs. I think Herbert was one of the big losers of the first round of the playoffs. You had a couple losers. You had him. You had Sirianni in New York. They're talking. I mean, in Philadelphia. And then you're going to Matt LaFleur. I am not on the bandwagon. I've gone back in my head. I'm not 100% sure. Savior, timeouts. I still think he's a good coach, but those, I think, are the 3 big losers. And by the way, Go on X, and that's all anyone's talking about. They're not talking about the winners. Everyone's talking about Tony Romo, of course. People are talking about the losers of the weekend. I think Herbert's the big loser.
Yeah, I would agree with that. The thing about franchise quarterbacks they are the cover for everything else, right? If you have a weakness here, if you have a weakness there, if you have a weakness over here, you have a franchise quarterback. They are going to get you through it. His last 3 playoff games now, I think he went out to a 27-0 lead against Jacksonville 3 or 4 years ago. Yeah. Ended up losing that game. Ever since that exact moment, he's been terrible in the playoffs. He was awful last night. And you say the offensive line is bad. That's fine. That's why you have a franchise quarterback. You have a franchise quarterback so you can cover these weaknesses and stuff, and he just was terrible. Dave nailed it pretty much all the way down the line right there. First half, he wasn't under the duress Drake May was, but he was still bad. He got inside the 10-yard line once, couldn't do it.
Yeah, I mean,
he started at the 10-yard line.
I was going to say the defense set him up to take control of the game multiple. And it's also a situation where, look, on this stage, fair or not, and I'd say it likely is more fair, we're going to reduce the conversation down to quarterback, but it's because look at the plays that other quarterbacks made over the weekend, right? Josh Allen had that incredible back foot falling backwards 40-yard throw to set up the win. Caleb Williams, a 4th and 8 rolling out, falls on his butt. Finds a way to get it done. Matt Stafford, the game-winning touchdown throw to Parkinson on the sideline. Like, are you kidding me? All these guys had the moment.
Made in the corner. And by the way, there were a couple plays to be had by Herbert in that game. There were a couple throws he missed them. And again, towards the end of the game, it got away. There is a degree but he had the time. Now, so that's the pass. I was right about that. You move forward. This thing's a wide open tournament. This is and one of the best first rounds. I hate that we still have this game tonight. I hate that. It should be wrapped up. But I mean, there can't be any team that came out of this first round so far where you're watching, you're like, well, they can't be beat. They all can. This is a wide open first round, and it showed it. It really showed it. So great first round of football.
The first 4 games were all elite. Yeah, I mean, Panthers, Rams, Bears, Packers. Like every game up until the Patriots and the Chargers the Chargers no-showed last night. But up until that, every game was great. The Bears Packers, one of the great playoff games you'll see. It was an amazing comeback, and it was amazing. Like Dave said, Caleb Williams was fantastic. It was a terrific weekend of football.
Yeah. My thing on that Bears game. And because LaFleur is coming under all this heat, and Packer fans, I think a lot of them are saying they want him gone. He's blown a ton of leads, not just to the Bears. There's stats out like 6 big, almost double-digit leads in the fourth. But I watch that game and I go back and I analyze tape because I love looking at tape. I'm a tape guy, right? And I'm trying to think, what can you do differently? And outside, I hate when guys burn timeouts. Burning timeouts to me. Take the penalty if you're up against it sometimes, because they had 2 timeouts and they got clocked to death. Like whoever was going to have the ball last, if they had time, I think the Packers probably score. Other than that, I'm not there was no glaring errors to me. They just started, the Bears played a lot better. I guess you could say schemes change, but it was a tale of 2 halves. What would you guys do with LaFleur?
Have my kicker make his kicks. I think that's the only thing you can do.
Yeah, the kicker missing kicks. There's some talk about he could have been a little more 4-minute offense with the lead, but then again, even that is kind of opinion, right? Because he's kind of thinking, well, I got to play the same way that got us this lead, that got us here. And then, you had Reed drop the ball. That was obviously massive. So if I was the Packers, I would not want to be too overreactive. I don't think I would move on from LaFleur, but I'm not a Packers fan. I'm not in the front office. And so I'm not really feeling the sting and the pain as much as they are of having a Super Bowl expectation, getting the best pass rusher in the entire NFL, kind of going all in, and then finishing 9-7 and losing to the Chicago Bears, losing the division and getting knocked out of the playoff by the Bears. That might be a bad enough recipe to make them move on. But obviously, if they do that, every team that needs a coach is going to be tripping over themselves to get to that.
Yeah, they play musical. Maybe Harbaugh goes. There's a good coach. You got Harbaugh, obviously, who's out there. There's rumors, Giants, whatever. I don't know. I wouldn't have gotten rid of Harbaugh. I think he's a good coach. I would not have gotten rid of. I would not get rid of LaFleur. Sirianni is an interesting one to me Because they just won the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I don't know that you can get rid of a guy
No, but
who's
Patullo,
1 year
you
off
kill
the Super
Patullo.
Bowl.
You kill Patullo.
The offensive coordinator,
right? Yeah.
the offensive coordinator was bad. And listen, they got a bad mix over in Philadelphia on the offense. Like A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts hate each other. Sirianni, nobody likes A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown doesn't like any of them. Sirianni doesn't like anybody. The offensive coordinator is terrible. Like they just got to fix the internal recipe. I think they'll be fine, but it's got a lot of fixing to be done.
They got $190 million invested on that offense, most in the NFL,
And they can't score.
And it ends up being the thing that gets
Lane
knocked out
Johnson
of the
is an
playoffs.
absolute difference maker for that team.
Yep.
And with him out, they're always very different looking when he's not in. So, he doesn't play. The 49ers decimated. I mean, absolutely decimated to come in and get that win. So, yeah, again, this thing's wide. It's wide open. The Bears, I tell you, we've sat on this show, and I can't remember what I put them in. I think they can win the Super Bowl or not category.
I think
I don't
did
think
not.
I think it was did not.
I think I did.
Even like last week.
I think I did.
You definitely did.
No, I don't
I think I did.
Yeah, so that's
and
a
I
no.
think they can. This Bears team. This Caleb Williams, man, he's got something going on there. Patriots Bears. This is setting up for a Barstool.
the Barstool Bowl.
This is completely against everything you've ever said about the Bears. That's fine. We'll let you do it, but you have never done this before.
Yeah, even last Monday. Remember you said, look, I've seen
no,
this-
I
the
think
Bears will
November
fold.
28th, Patriots versus Bears Super Bowl, question mark?
Correct.
Oh my God, dude.
I would like to kick both of you in the forehead.
Do
I
it.
mean, if you had tweets that we could bring up like this, we're happy to do so.
A2, Liam, I expect this from Meek. I don't expect this from you this early on.
That throw he
Patriots
made
Super Bowl.
going backwards,
Incredible.
on fourth down. That was one of the best plays you're ever going to see with this young crop. Isn't it crazy how the world shifts in the perception? I mean, you're Jaden Daniels last year.
Yeah.
Universal #1, first ballot Hall of Famer. Injury ridden. Washington stinks this year. And Drake May and Williams come out of nowhere. This guy, I didn't see it. When he was crying at USC, I thought they missed again. And this coach, absolutely going right at Green Bay. If you're a Bears fan, you're going to love him just being like, F the Packers and this and that in the locker room. Holy
And
cow.
Yeah,
Matt Eberflus last year was going to basketball games sitting courtside with Matt LaFleur.
Yeah.
It was like, you can't have your coach being buddy-buddy with the enemy. It's like, you have to have hatred like that. The Packers and Bears should be hating each other.
A little bit of Signetti and Ben Johnson as well when he in that opening press conference. Remember, I've enjoyed beating Matt LaFleur twice a year, and now he beats Matt LaFleur for a second time on this stage. And let's talk about
Not just beat him.
ripped his soul out, really.
This again.
Maybe got him fired.
Now, the first time these teams played, the Packers did beat him. They didn't beat him, but they beat him. And it's an onside kick, crazy. This second half, I mean, the Bears really dominated them. They have the Packers kind of got to go in towards the end. They score, and it turns into this great game. But the Bears dominated them in the second.
Okay, boys, I got a stat.
Oh, God.
And Dave, I know you don't normally like my
I got a
stats.
stat.
Well, that's how you ended up having Herbert in the first ballot Hall of Fame.
Okay, relax. Okay, kind of fair there. Okay, but is this interesting? So the Bears finished 2-1 against the Packers, despite never taking a single offensive snap with the lead. In 3 games, the Bears never took a snap in which they had the lead. Is that interesting?
It's mildly interesting.
Yeah, it's a mildly interesting. I don't know where we go to that. I don't know.
Okay,
I don't. That's just a stat. That's when I watch CBS Sunday Morning and they're like, who died this?
Okay.
That's
not
like one of those stats.
No. Here's where we go with
You
this.
see that in USA Today, you're like, oh.
Landed here in 1808. That's just a stat that should scroll that people watching drinking their morning coffee can be like, oh, that's interesting.
Exactly what I was. It's a coffee stat.
Okay, great
Yeah,
coffee.
it's a coffee
Okay,
stat.
good. So, and coffee's great. We all love coffee. So, but here's where you go with it, right? What that shows is the comeback nature of the Bear. Caleb Williams, 7 wins this season in which they were at a deficit under 2 minutes, most in NFL history. And here's why I feel so great about Williams is like, yes, he still has a lot to improve on, right? Completion percentage needs to go up, like some of the more simple things. But if you're offering me a guy who does all those simple things well, but has to learn to turn it on in the fourth versus a guy who has all the clutch ability naturally and needs to work on this stuff. Like, I'll take Caleb Williams 10 times out of 10. Like,
And it does bring up a
point.
point. And I tweeted it before the game. and you guys are going to go this simpleton thing, but it reminds me now that we're back in the playoffs and I'm really like locked in. These games, football games and college too, are so long. You can't get too high.
Yep.
You can't get too low. It's just play by play. There's times you're like, and I got so excited with the way the Patriots do. I told myself going to the game, don't tweet. Keep it together. And then when we sacked Herbert and got the ball at midfield up 16-3, I went nuts. I just started doing it. We didn't score. The Chargers had the ball back with like 4 minutes, still down 2 scores. I love everything the Patriots do. I don't know why they didn't go for 2 when it was 16. I was waiting for that to come back and bite me. That, I think, was a humongous error. Like, the Patriots scored in the fourth quarter. They go up 15-3. There can't be any rationale in the history of the universe why you want to go for 2 there, right?
No, go ahead and make the lead 14. I don't know why you would even. What's the difference in 12 and 13 at that point? Doesn't matter, but. Chargers. That game could have lasted 2 weeks. The Chargers weren't going to score.
Correct.
So, but then again, like, we do accept that Vrabel is like situationally a top 5 decision maker in the.
But
NFL,
that was a situational no-brainer.
Well, but I'm saying what I guess
I haven't heard the logic on why you wouldn't go for 2 yet.
So that's what I was going to say. Like, maybe we ask Greg that, because if anybody would know, he would know, and Vrabel would know. Like, he is always massaging the edges of the game.
You think there was a notebook there somewhere?
I don't know. I'm guessing there might be, even if I don't see it. But we can ask Greg.
But again, irrelevant because the Chargers weren't going to score.
Yeah, it didn't matter. Okay, shout out the Patriots defense. Fadfield there is familiar, Dave.
I'll give this to Herbert. He's tough. He took an absolute beating. Now I don't know what that and
doesn't get
cookie
you much.
Gets you.
Doesn't get you much.
All right, it gets us a lot because we got the football G-Spot coming up next. Greg Olsen, John Gruden, don't go anywhere. Best football conversation you will hear all morning long.
Romo has a game.
Welcome back. Wake Up Barstool. It's time for the football G-Spot with Greg Olsen and John Gruden. Let's go, boys.
I love football. Knock on wood if you're with me, everybody.
Can I finish my point?
All right, boys. We finally got the whole crew here. Coach, congrats. Hula Bowl victory. Looks like you got a little Gatorade shower there with it.
Yeah, thank you. That was a big win for me. I needed it.
All right. So great weekend of football. We got 1 game left. And we were talking a little bit this first weekend. If you go on X, Twitter, you go on anything, you know what everyone's talking about? The teams that lost. They're not so much talking about the teams that won. There's discussion. It starts with the coaching. And we got 3 coaches right off the bat that people are in the hot seat with. Sirianni in Philadelphia, LaFleur in Green Bay, and maybe there's 2 because Harbaugh already got fired. What do you guys do? What LaFleur? Let's start with him. They blow another huge lead. Greg, what do you do if you're Green Bay with this guy?
I think you do nothing. I think the notion that Matt LaFleur's job is potentially in jeopardy is a bit ridiculous. I think what we've found over years, and obviously Coach probably has great perspective on this, is I think everyone is always in such a rush to find a replacement, and so often the replacement is by far worse than who the original coach was. And I think a guy like Matt LaFleur, his track record of offensive play calling and the success they've had, they've lost some tough playoff games, and they've lost some tough games down the stretch and bad endings. And certainly Saturday night is up there. You know, you're up 21-3 at halftime against a team that had showed nothing there in the beginning of the game. And then you end up letting it slide. I just think the notion that you think you're going to upgrade from Matt LaFleur in this hiring cycle is nonsense. So I think Packers fans have every right to be disappointed, frustrated, mad. They certainly need to figure out why they can't close some of these games out. But the notion that they're going to upgrade this coaching cycle from Matt LaFleur, I think is nonsense.
And sticking with that, I agree with you on LaFleur. And I watched that game, and outside of, and I'll ask you, Coach Gruden, the thing that drives me crazy and I think is devalued a little bit is timeouts. Like the looseness of calling timeouts sometimes in the second half. You're up against a play clock rather than take 5 yards in a delay game. You call timeout. You don't like your set, and then you rewind the game to the end. And it's like, man, if I had those timeouts, because the Packers really ran out of time. So it's a two-part. LaFleur, that's all I could see. People criticize his timeout use. Would you keep LaFleur, and what would you have done differently? From the outside looking in, sometimes you see glaring things. I didn't see it with Green Bay. What was your take on that game?
There's no way I would let LaFleur out of the building. I mean, unless anybody has a better candidate. And there's no better candidate. The guy's done a great job transitioning from Aaron Rodgers to Love. Love played great. Love has a bright future. They got to run the football. They can't run the ball with a 21-3 lead. The clock is the enemy. They got nothing going on the ground. We all know they're missing some of their best players. Kraft at tight end, Micah Parsons. They brought in Nate Hobbs to be a corner. They gave him $40 million. He never played. I just think Green Bay has to stay the course. They're going to have to handle the noise, and they got to find a way to run the football more consistently. But you got to give Chicago credit. I'll go back to this, Dave. The Packers lost that game on a stupid high school play. I mean, they fake a bubble screen over there, and guys take off and run down the field, and DJ Moore wins the game. They got to play better football at crunch time. I think some of these Packer players got to look themselves in the eye. You know, when you get a lead like that, your defense needs to slam the door shut, and this vaunted Packer defense did not come through.
And following up, I do have a question on the timeout thing, because as a coach, how do you value those? Like, there's so many times, like that example of what I give, when it almost seems like you're going up the line, it's 3, 2, 1, and it's almost like a knee jerk. Someone called timeout. We don't want the 5 yards. How important is it to you? Is that something you tell your guys? Hey, if we're up against the clock, just eat the 5 yards, because 5 yards versus timeout is apples and oranges to me. How do you look at it?
No, I'm glad you brought that up, Dave. We won the NFC Championship game in Philadelphia years ago. We took 2 timeouts on 3rd down. And I'm not kidding you. One of them was a touchdown to Keyshawn right before the half, and another one was Joe Jurevicius's 71-yard catch and run. You see a look in a single elimination tournament that you know you can't block, or you have a bad play that could cause a horrific result. You take a timeout. What do you want to do? You want to give these timeouts to Brandon Walker and let him take?
So you're the opposite.
You got to use these timeouts in critical moments. And I think, although it looks bad at times, sometimes they can be lifesavers.
Wow. Greg, you agree with that?
In the second half of the game, I would only take an offensive timeout. I'm talking we're not talking at the end of the game, in a 2-minute drive. I'm talking just third quarter, beginning of the fourth quarter. I think unless it's like a 3rd and short situation where going from 3rd and 1 to 3rd and 6 certainly changes your percentages of converting, I'm taking 5 yards. I think we saw it there at the end in the Philadelphia game. Don't get me wrong, critical 4th down. You want to make sure you have your right play call, but you've been practicing all year. You got to know what your right play call is, and you got to get it in without taking that offensive timeout, because they fail, and instead of being able to stop the clock 3 times, the game's over. You can only stop it twice, and it's over. So I think I'm keeping all of my offensive timeouts. I don't want to call timeouts on offense. I want my defense to call all my timeouts. And we see it so often again, that the ability at the end of the game to not have your timeouts to extend your opportunities kills these teams.
I agree. Coach laughed at us a little bit.
No, I don't want to waste timeouts. There's a big fine line here. You two guys are bobbling your head, agreeing with each other. I don't want to waste the timeout. I'm not an idiot. But let me tell you this. When you got a critical 3rd down and you're in for the money, there's a time and a place to use a timeout.
All right, let's move to the Eagles. And this is a team all the way from the head coach, Sirianni, arguing with wide receivers, A.J. Brown, to their fans being obnoxious, Max. What is going on in Philadelphia? This is a team that they're mad when it's tough to get a read on, because they're mad when they're winning the Super Bowl. But when they get bounced in the first round, people are calling for everybody's head. I Again, I don't know how many changes I'd hear. Lane Johnson, I think, is just so critical to this team's offense. Coach, you don't like any coaches getting fired. You like hanging around. You'd rather a guy, you can keep them there till they're dead on the sideline before you call for a coach. But what are the changes that happened in Philadelphia?
I don't know why you even asked me to be on this show. I mean, you just shred me at all costs. Look, when I saw Aaron Andrews' jacket, I knew it was going to be a bad game. I mean, that was ridiculous.
Come on.
I've been watching Philadelphia.
What show? What network are we on?
I don't care. Whoever the producer of that show is, tell the lady to wear a jacket that's recognized.
Come on, no, Coach. I'll let you call your timeouts. Get off EA's back.
It's my question, man.
Come on, man. You can.
That was a little off.
It was the Golden Globes last night.
Listen, the Eagles have been off schedule all year. I mean, it's just been hard to watch. There just isn't a good chemistry on this team. When you see the coach screaming at the wide receiver, then you see the wide receiver dropping passes. It's just not happening. Lane Johnson's 35 years old. How much longer do you think he's going to play? You got to adapt or die in this league. They're not the only team that has some injuries on the offensive line, but they just cannot sustain offense. And it was an ugly game. It was an ugly ending to a season in Philadelphia, but I think they got to look at what offense are we running? What are we going to do to get some ball distribution and some consistency running and passing? Way too many negative plays in a hard-to-game watch. And they come out to start the second half with 3 straight 3-and-outs at home with a lead. You knew something bad was going to happen.
Greg, Justin Herbert, last night, another dud. Now, where are you on this guy? I'm a Justin Herbert truther. I've never thought he's the guy. I've probably said it to you guys that I don't think he's the guy. There's 2 schools of thought. His offensive line was so bad he got battered. There's nothing he can do. I thought he had time. Where are you on Justin Herbert? What is going on there? How much of the blame goes to him?
I think in a game where you score 3 points, I think there's plenty of blame to go around for everybody associated with the offense, from play callers to quarterback to offensive line skill. It really, no one escapes when you score 3 points. So with that being said, I've only watched I haven't had the Chargers to study them in depth. I've watched them on TV a lot, mostly just their national games. Every game that I've watched, even the games that he's brought them back and they've won close games at the end and he was brilliant, it's a very unconventional style. And I chalk a lot of that up to they couldn't block me right now. I think you watch that game and he is constantly scrambling, constantly running. Now, how much of that is get the ball in on time and play in rhythm? Greg Roman's system is a little bit of a different, you go back and look what he did in Baltimore, a little bit of a different system. But from the beginning last night, there's no flow. There's no timing to the passing game. There's no hit your back foot, one hitch, ball comes out. It's a lot of scramble drill. It's a lot of extended plays. A lot of that is the offensive line. They're missing their tackles. They're out for injury. It's a very clunky style of offense. And when you play good teams and you play well-coached teams, you saw it in the 2-minute drive. They're in a 2-minute drive on the plus side of the 2-minute warning where if you sub, the defense is allowed to match. And every time a receiver would come out,
that was crazy.
Vrabel would take their time. And it was like a hockey shift. Very different than under the 2-minute warning where you're not allowed. They won't hold the ball. So little things like that, they're just not clean. And for as good as they played on defense, the offense was just obviously underwhelming.
Talked about a lot of negative stuff so far, which it is. I'll end it. Any positive takeaways from the play? It was a great round of football. Great routes out of that game last night, which was an ugly one. Unbelievable games. I think before the Patriots, not one game, which is a crazy stat, was more than a 1-score difference during the entire game. It was back and forth, back and forth. Coach, takeaway from the weekend.
Yeah, I think you got to have great quarterback play, certainly in the fourth quarter. And what Matt Stafford did to Carolina, Caleb Williams did to Green Bay, and how about Josh Allen, those 2 drives in the fourth quarter? Your quarterback has to really step it up, man, in crunch time. And I think you got to have a fourth quarter closeout defense. Credit Tre'Davious White of the Bills, that tip pass that Cole Bishop intercepted. you need to really credit the 49er defense. This is a no-name defense. I'll bet everybody on here can't name 3 or 4 starters for the 49er defense. They played their brains out, man. But I think you got to have a fourth quarter pass rush and a clutch playmaking quarterback, and I think that's what's going to help you advance the most.
Greg?
I think I agree with Coach flat out. If you don't have a quarterback, you can't survive in this league. It's more and more evident every season that goes on. But, I think my biggest takeaway is the parity of the NFL has maybe never been greater. And I would argue, yes, there's flaws and every team's got their warts, and sometimes the style of play is not perfect. But I'll tell you what, you can make an argument the NFL has never been more entertaining. I mean, even the game I did, that Rams-Panthers game, yes, the Panthers lost. They could have won. Tell you what, the Panthers, Bryce Young played his ass off. Dave Canales proved that he's a legitimate bona fide NFL coach. I mean, they played arguably one of the best teams in the league, albeit at home, as one of the largest playoff underdogs, home underdogs of all time, and had the lead with 2 minutes to go. So I think you're seeing from the top teams to that next tier, that margin getting smaller and smaller. I think that's great for fans. I think it's great for the future of the league. And, every game, whether it was the game I called or just sitting on the couch yesterday, just taking it in as a fan, every game was so wildly entertaining. It's the best product in the business.
How about the analytics, Dave? I want to ask you this question. The analytics of football has certainly changed in the last 10 or 15 years.
Everyone's going for everything.
The Chargers get the interceptions to start the game. You're on the road. You're in New England. You got 4th and goal at about the 3-yard line. He goes for the points. He doesn't get anything. I think it was a really sagging moment for the Charger sideline to come away with nothing. You saw Liam Cohen go for it last 7-3. He has a chance to make it 10-3 before the half. These points come back to get you. I'm just curious how you guys see these analytics, because the coaches nowadays can just go to the press conference and say, well, the analytics said go for it. I'm curious to hear what your take is.
Yeah, I like going for it. I mean, to me, one of the more glaring, it was early, but Carolina went for it, I think, on their side of the 40. The Rams took the ball, scored, got the lead. They battled back. I do like going for it. I didn't mind. And Harbaugh, by the way, I think is still one of the more conservative guys out there. Like, he did go for the points after the turnover, which I had no problem with, because if you kick a field goal there, it's still a major win for the Patriots. The drive started at the 10-yard line. So if you hold them to 3, I don't think that changes the tenor of the game. The Patriots leave the field being like, wow, what a great stop. Yes, they stopped, but Harbaugh also punted, I believe, at like the 50 on 4th and 2. He did take the field goal. So he's an example, I think, of somebody still and even at Michigan he was. Everybody else, it's the new guys. It's the Canales. It's the guy in Jacksonville. Those guys, it's Madden football. They're going for it at 4th and 2 at their own end.
Yeah, I think the only listen, I'm a huge proponent. I've been very clear. I am pro going for it. I think field goals get you beat. I think these guys understand that especially with the new kickoff rule, if I'm going to kick a field goal at the 2-yard line, for me to get 3 points and give you 32 yards on average of field position advantage because of the new kickoff rule and where you start, I think there's so many factors that go in. I think big picture, though, and you can see it on social media every time. And it was the weekend of the 4th downs, right? And it started in my game with
Canal. A lot of guys not getting them.
Yeah, and a lot of them didn't get it, but no one ever talks about the guys that do get them, right? No one talks about Philly going for 4th down inside the 10 and they get it. No one talks about that. The only reason the Panthers are in the playoffs is because week 13 against the Rams, they went 3 for 3 on 4th downs. 2 of them were like 60-yard touchdown passes to pull that upset, or else they're not even in the playoffs. So I just think people are realizing, if I was a coach, and granted, Coach, you've coached a lot more games than I'll ever see, I would never kick a field goal unless it was the game-winning field goal, or I'm talking like 4th and 8, 4th and 10, just real long. Unless I'm like a 45-plus yard field goal. I think the days of kicking 30-yard field goals, 32-yard field goals, they're just not worth it unless it's the game winner. And I think teams are buying into it. And I think more teams would do it if you didn't have to go stand at the podium after the game. I think standing at the podium after the game, answering for why you failed going for 2, why didn't you take the points, right? I think it's so much easier to go up to the podium and say, hey, I trust my defense. I trust my kicker. It's a lot harder to stand up there and go, you know what? I went for 2, it backfired. I went for the touchdown, it backfired, but I would do it again, right? That's hard to do. I think a lot of coaches are uncomfortable with that. And the guys that are in the playoffs and the guys that are winning all these games certainly aren't afraid of that.
I would take 3, like 4th and 3, 4th and 5, sometimes depending on where you are. I would be much more willing to go for it on my side of the field because I think the yardage in between the 20s comes pretty easy in today's NFL. So, like, all right, if I go for it at my own 40 on 4th and 1 or 4th and 2 get stuffed, I punt it. I think they're going to come back to that area of the field pretty quickly. And then that's really when, and Greg's talked about a little bit, so when you start getting to the red zone, that's when these games are won and lost. Who's putting the ball in the end zone, who's kicking field goals. But the yardage in between in most of these games, these teams go up and down the field there. So who cares if I give them the ball at the 40, we're just getting into when the game starts. But if I punt it, they're going to be right back there. That's how I look at it, Coach. And I think it's really, when I think about it, the only way to look at it.
Yeah, I think you got to play it game by game. You know, I think in a single elimination tournament, you got to really collect your thoughts. But we all remember Detroit going forward a couple years ago in San Francisco when you got a chance to make it a 3-possession game. I'm sure there's a lot of second guessing no matter how you look at it.
Yeah. But that's an example. I mean, you go against what you've done the entire life. All right. I appreciate you guys coming on. I know we're locked in again. We got a game tonight. I will say I hate that. We talked about I don't like this game tonight. From a coaching perspective, especially, you lose one day of preparation, in rest and all that. But we got one more game tonight. Great weekend. I know, Coach, we got you back. Greg, we talked. Your stock keeps going up. There's a guy on the other network. He's making. He looks like he's on drugs or something when he's calling games. Your stock is going up. So congrats for that. We'll see you guys later.
There it is.
Hey, guys.
Really put Greg on the spot there, huh?
Yeah, the football
Different network.
G-spot.
It's a different network.
Another G-spot in
He
the
didn't
books.
say it. I said it.
Hey, Greg, credit to you. The other guy sucks.
I mean, come on. What was Romo talking about? That was.
Greg's already frozen.
Started that game off. Tony Romo started that game off with the most nonsensical rant I've ever heard.
Coming up next, we got some college football playoff talk. The national championship is now set, and Brandon Walker will break it down for you. Welcome back to Wake Up Barstool, and it's time for our guy Brandon Walker to shine, okay?
Yep.
The #1 college football media personality, and it's time to talk some college ball. As the national championship is set, Indiana, Miami. Now, of course, we broke down playoff game #1 on Friday's show, but Indiana dominating Oregon. Dave, real quick, because you were not on Friday's show.
You said Brandon Walker's time to shine. Now you're
I'm happy to talk about this. I think we're doing a disservice to the NFL.
I kind of screwed you there.
Yeah, you did.
Okay, I just
let him talk now.
I just want to know if Dave had thoughts on Miami Ole Miss because he didn't get to touch on that on Friday.
Well, yeah. To be honest, I think this is a sort of an indictment with college football in general because I think like we haven't talked Bills, Jags. I still think college football. I agree with Dan Lanning should be over by now.
I agree
because as great as college football is, to me right now, I don't even feel like talking about college football because these games seem like they're years ago. We had all the NFL this weekend, and with this game, we're going to be on the air again right before this game happens.
Yeah. Whoa,
their timing is all out of whack. So I don't like the way college football is set up. I think it's a disservice to college football because I really have no interest. All right, I'll say this. Kirk Cignetti, unbelievable. This team came out of nowhere. Indiana was a joke college football team.
I'm sorry.
Now they're like the superpower. It's absolutely stunning, amazing what they've done. Miami, great win. I don't think they have a prayer against Indiana, but we have an entire week in another full round of the NFL before this happens. And that is just so stupid from a marketing entertainment perspective. I can't even put it into words. What's wrong, Walker?
No, T-Bob comes out. Brandon Walker's going to tell you about college football, and he gives it to you, and then you just take it forever. You just run for 80 yards, and I'm sitting over here on the sideline like I thought I was getting the ball.
Brandon Walker, tell us about Indiana. Tell us about Indiana.
Touchdown, then.
Okay, here we go. Dave, what you just said is something I want to talk about because you just said Miami probably doesn't have a chance. There are two things going on here. Mm-hmm. Indiana looks like the most buttoned up, incredible program we've ever seen. They look like they've been stockpiling 5 stars for the last 20 years. They look like Alabama. I'm talking about the peak of Nick Saban. They look like that kind of team. They don't make mistakes. They have the best quarterback in the country. Every player, every position group is on their P's and Q's. Like everything is perfect for Indiana. And Miami at the line of scrimmage is incredible. But everybody is saying Indiana is going to steamroll Miami, like he just said. They have one common opponent. We just saw Ohio State lose to Miami 24-14. It was a month ago. Indiana beat them 13-10.
Yeah.
Ohio State missed a 21-yard field goal to send that game to overtime. So Indiana does look great and incredible, and I give them flowers. But this notion that Miami can't compete with them, I think is a little premature. Don't you think, Dave?
Well, I think Indiana's
They're great.
on a roll.
They're great.
No, but I mean, they're playing at such a higher level than they were earlier in the season. These last 2 games have been absolutely massacres. So I don't know that I buy into the common opponent right now because I think they're peaking. Now, maybe this delay changes a little bit. There's a lot more time. Also, Miami, and again, I don't know the time, their injury report, their secondary seemed decimated at the end of the last game. I don't know who's healthy, who's not healthy, but I don't know. I just... Watching with my eyeballs, I don't see any way Miami stays in the game. There's a lot of time off, so maybe it can change.
The one thing that you have to have if you're going to beat a team like Indiana who looks perfect, they don't make mistakes. Their quarterback makes the right throw every time, and their receivers are not talked about enough. If he gets it within 5 yards of them, they grab it out of the air.
Cooper, Becker, fantastic. They're all awesome. E.J. Williams.
If you're going to beat that team, you got to wreck them at the line of scrimmage, and that is what Miami can do to teams. Miami can win the line of scrimmage both offensively and defensively. I think Indiana's going to win the national title. I think they're the best team. But like Miami's got enough dudes, if they're healthy, like you said, to upset to get them out of their game plan. Nobody's gotten them out of their game plan all year. But if Miami is the kind of team that can do it.
Well, remember, a couple teams have gotten out of their game plan, and the stat it's been kind of tied to is can you stop Indiana from running the ball? Anytime Indiana's been in a dogfight this year, it's because they have been able to hit that 4-yard per carry mark. And I'm with you, Brandon. Like, remember, I was a little bit higher on Miami coming out of the Ole Miss game than even you were. I'm like, okay, this team's basically going to be, like I had it scored like 55-45 with Indiana, but then Indiana, they just overcome everything, right? Oh, first round bye, you got to be rusty, you can't win. They dominate Alabama. Oh, it's hard to beat a good team twice. They dominate Oregon. So I don't see, like, they just look so flawless.
Yeah.
And I didn't think Miami looked, I thought Miami looked worse against Ole Miss.
See, I thought Miami looked... Oh, sorry, go ahead,
If the Miami that played Ole Miss plays Indiana, they're going to get beat by 45 points.
I agree. Too many mistakes. They have to clean up the mistakes. But I do agree with Brandon's point that in terms of specific talent on the field matchups, Miami's strength on both the offensive and defensive lines gives them a better chance than the last 2 teams that we saw go up against Indiana, although Oregon was pretty impressive.
If the Miami that played Ole Miss plays Indiana, they're going to get killed. If the Miami that played Ohio State plays Indiana, that's your chance right there.
And they
were perfect.
I got some pushback for saying this on Roughness the other night where I compared Mendoza being locked into the level of like 2019 Burrow. And of course, everybody shouted me down with like, Burrow threw 60 touchdowns, Burrow did this and that. But I said locked in.
I agree with that point. I think that's a fair point.
Like
they're playing perfect right now.
He has 8 touchdowns to 5 incompletions in 2 playoff games.
That's the dumbest stat.
That's a great stat. That's a great stat.
No, he means like dumb in a good way. Keep up, me.
Shut the
No, calm down. You almost caused
You don't have to talk.
violation. No, it's Mendoza is as dialed as I've ever seen a quarterback right now. Signetti's game plans, they seem to have. How about this, Liam? 4 games this year in which Indiana's ended up with an interception within the first 2 plays of the game, including your UCLA game.
Yeah, I mean, they're flawless. They're well prepared. They're prepared for everything. They have an answer for everything. They're going to win by like 2+ touchdowns, 3+ touchdowns. Yeah.
The only thing that I think can get into this is again the delay. I mean, Miami, no one's answered. I don't. We probably don't have it. Their secondary was quite.
I tried looking up the Mesidor injury today.
There was a rumor that they were dealing with the flu last week. I can't confirm that, but there was a rumor about that. And yeah, I mean, they were battered and bruised in the secondary, and Mesidor was hurt at the end, which looked bad.
It looked like he probably broke an arm. Yeah. Unfortunately, I mean, again, I'm not a doctor. We'll see, but like, I
put a cast on it.
Yeah, you guys are also bearing the lead on what I said here, that they got to do something about the schedule.
Well, Dan Lanning
they do.
nailed it. Dan Lanning was right, 100%.
Yeah.
You're right. It can't be going all the way to January 20th. Again, there's 10 days in between games every time. There's no sense of that. Right. Like, the NFL is the best product in the world, right? Every Saturday and Sunday in the playoffs, I know I'm going to have the NFL. College football, we got them in the middle of the week. We got them on Friday nights. We got them on Thursday nights. We got it on Monday night. Like, get it done within like 6 weeks of the.
And why do you want it at the bottom of the newspaper? Like, this is clearly every program is going to be leading with the NFL, talking about the NFL, and then you re-gear next week for the NFL again. Monday happens; they're going to talk about Monday results when you have the championship. It's marketing crazy. Makes no sense.
The one thing college football used to have figured out the best is they used to end their season on January 1st.
Yeah,
everything built up to January 1st, and they had all the New Year's Day bowls. Now, the bowls don't matter anymore, so college football is like, well, we'll just go away from that. January 1st was the right day to end the season. If everything led up to the championship game being on January 1st, this would be a better sport right now.
And, I mean, it's not even like it's a complicated fix, right? You
just tighten it up.
You start in week 0. You play more games in December. And then you even get the dual benefit of the overall calendar makes more sense. When coaches move on to new jobs,
transfer portal.
With the transfer portal. So, I mean, here's to hoping that college football can kind of get out of their own way, but it's kind of in keeping with a larger college football problem, which is, who's the decision maker, right? Like there is no end all.
This is
what we're going to do.
Brain dead obvious that it really makes you think, how have they even made it this far? Maybe they haven't. Maybe that's why we're in this position we're in with this portal and the changes and everything, because they refuse to change so long. But this one seems in everybody's best interest. If you don't want to compete with the Goliath that is the NFL, I bet we're the only program that's talking about this game this quickly into it on a Monday because of the NFL.
You had FBS National Championship on Monday, FCS on a Monday, D3 on a Sunday night when there were key NFL games.
Yeah. But the Monday slot for the
FCS, it worked perfectly.
Yeah, that ended up being not so bad. But again, whatever. It's an easy fix. Again, though, this is an exciting championship. I love this. I mean, Miami, Indiana, 2 teams that have bucked the traditional trends of roster creation. I mean, if you look at the playoff teams and you look at like the percentage of the starters that came from the transfer portal and whatnot, like there are some major best practice implications to be drawn from these 2 squads making it this far.
Well, it's about 8.
Yeah, I mean,
go ahead, Dave.
Go ahead. No, you go. It's your show.
Well, Indiana with the age thing, right? Indiana has decided grown men are better at football than 18 and 19-year-old kids. Me and Dave could start for Indiana right now. They've got guys out there with kids, with mortgages, and they are killing people. Indiana does it one way. Miami just goes against the 5 stars.
I believe Jack Mack dispelled that rumor that their average age is like a myth. Like, you can't even find some of their players' date of births.
It's a little,
I'd like to stomp on your glasses.
I'm just saying what Jack Mack tweeted. I believe
it was a good tweet by Jack Mack. It's a little more even than we give credit for, but the point stands. Indiana is full of mature players, a lot of transfers, and now they look.
Talking points are fun. Let me have them.
The bigger point for Indiana is you don't have to be Lane Kiffin and leave. If you can win at Indiana, you can win anywhere.
That's true.
Stomp right on your glasses. Do it.
Welcome back. No, I'm not going to do it. No, I'm not going to do it. Welcome back to Wake Up Barstool. We will talk about the Ben Men's saga, but we're not going to lead with the Ben Men's saga. Our EP is terrified we're going to.
We led with Bolts Insider last.
Bolts Galaxy.
Sorry, Bolts Galaxy. My bad.
Bolts Galaxy is a coward. I tweet it. Listen, if you're going to talk trash,
stay in the pocket.
Playoffs, you got to be there to answer the bell when your team gets eliminated, like Dave Portnoy told you they would. Time and time again. Sean Merriman was tweeting at me that I spelt his name wrong doing the sack dance. Listen, I've dealt with the Chargers quite a bit in my time. Anyways, we haven't gotten all the NFL.
Niners Eagles. Let's head over to Niners Eagles, and then we'll get to Bills Jags as well. 49ers. I mean, what more can you say about this team? Like, I still don't think they're a Super Bowl threat. I still think the defense is flawed. I still think all this or that. But all they do is prove everything that I think wrong seemingly week in and week out.
All these things about their defense being flawed and the injuries and everything, like they have this playoff pedigree. They've been to multiple Super Bowls. Like this is a team that figures it out. And Brock Purdy's got something about him that when it is the toughest, he is at his best. He's not always at his best, but when you get into moments like this and you have you have McCaffrey and you have guys that make plays instead of the A.J. Browns of the world who are just out there dropping balls, like the 49ers got that playoff thing. And that's all you can really say about them.
I have a really good 49ers stat. Jawan Jennings had more completed passes over 15 air yards yesterday than Jalen Hurts did. Jalen Hurts was 0 for 5 on those kind of attempts.
Yeah, Hurts looked terrified. I mean, but also not a lot of creativity out of the offense. Like, I know that Coach Gruden was ripping on it, but you look at the Bears game, and I actually love how they set up that fake bubble screen by having success on a couple times earlier in the game. Like, you look at the Eagles 4th and 11, it just doesn't feel like there's any creativity, and they're never putting the defense in any sort of like bind schematically.
I don't know why they don't use Jalen Hurts' legs as a weapon more often. They only use it in the tush push, really. Yeah. That's all they ever really use it for.
They love the 3rd and 11. Everyone knows the draw is coming. Jalen Hurts draw.
Well,
yeah,
okay, but there's a middle ground.
Is what
but there's a middle ground there, to Brandon's point. Like, yes, because you're right, Liam. Again, but everything Patullo did this year, he seemed a little over his head.
It was a bad offensive coordinator.
I said in September, Kevin Patullo is a terrible coordinator strictly off name. That guy can't win a Super Bowl strictly off name.
Patullo's a bad name.
It's like an Eberflus situation.
He has no shot at winning anything in football.
Yeah, listen, I hand up accountability. I thought the Eagles were definitely, I think I picked them to come out of the NFC. So I was surprised they lost. And I don't know what says. Great win by San Francisco. I do not think they can make it all the way, even though these teams are so close. I don't know. The Eagles are just a tough team to get a read on. Give San Francisco credit, but I don't see them. What do you say the odds of them knowing the Super Bowl were?
20 to 1. They're second worst odds, only to the Steelers, who were 60 to 1.
Yeah, Meek and I can't wait for them to go Seattle come out with a win.
And another stat on the 49ers, since 2003, every time all their seasons either end with them making at least the NFC Championship or missing the playoffs entirely. Had since 2003.
Oh, wow.
Kyle Shanahan's a great coach. Did you see they're decimated by injuries? I saw Will Compton trying to retweet something saying it's because their practice facility. They practice near some electromagnetic facility that loosens all their ligaments or something. Mm-hmm. That's a real thing going live right now, Walker.
I saw it, but I just when you said Will Compton tweeted it, I'm like, all right, what's this BS going to be?
Well, there is a degree to say you can't have a CTE guy tweeting about injuries. You're not going to get very far. So that's a fair point. But they're just too decimated. Like, it's a great win, but I just can't. And Kyle Shanahan is a great coach. I think Brock Purdy is very good. And obviously, McCaffrey looked great in the second half, and they trick plays and they out-scheme. But to me, it was more on the Eagles. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they'll shove it down my face. I'm not convinced that, and I know what you're saying, Walker. You see those 49er uniforms, and if you're of our age, you just start thinking, oh, these guys, playoffs, Montana and all, and Steve Young and Jerry Rice and John Taylor and Ronnie Lott and Roger Craig. They just have that aura to them. I can't take them seriously yet. Maybe I'll eat my words.
Well, no, look, man, they've done an incredible job of making up for the injuries all year long, regardless of competition, stacking the amount of wins they did, being in the 1 seed, playing for the 1 seed in the final week of the season. But at a certain point, you have to reach the end of what you can do. And now you're telling me that Kittle's going to tear his Achilles. And now when you're talking about Philly versus Seattle, you are talking about two vastly different demons.
I agree with everything T-Bob said.
The NFC East, we don't talk about enough because of the NFC South and the AFC North, but the NFC East was weak this year. The Eagles did take advantage, I believe, of a weaker division. That offense was absolutely terrible. I thought they would figure it out because they were champs. They could not. Now you got to go to Seattle. You don't have Kittle, and that Seattle defense is by far, in my opinion, the best of this entire playoff field. I don't care about Seattle. I think Sam Darnold's going to be fine. I think the Niners run finally comes to an end next week. Credit to him, though. Massive credit.
I think you're taking what I said and adding on this idea that I think they're going to win the Super Bowl. I'm not saying this team's about to go to Seattle and beat Seattle. I'm not saying this team. All I'm saying is with this coach and this quarterback and this team's history in the playoffs, you cannot be surprised when they do what they do yesterday.
I would be very surprised.
When they go to Philadelphia and they beat the defending champs and they get them right out of the playoffs, you can't be surprised. And Seattle, listen, last time we saw Sam Darnold in the playoffs, wasn't great, was it? I will
be surprised. I will come on here next week if it happens. I'll say, Walker, man, you really showed me. You were right on this take. I will be the first one to. I would be very surprised if
now hold on. He doesn't have the ability to ever do that. He will never do that. That will never happen. I could be right about everything for 100 years. He's never going to say, Walker, you got me. He's never going to do that.
No, well, you haven't since we've known each other. But I actually enjoy the ability to be wrong. So I will be here in this seat on Monday if the Seahawks beat the Chargers. If the San Francisco beats the Seahawks, I will hand up and say, Walker, kudos to you. You were right. I was wrong. I'll pay more attention.
By the way, he was right about the uniform thing. Remember last week when they wore those bad uniforms?
Yeah.
Yesterday when they were showing the pregame fights and I saw the uniforms of 49ers win, I was like, oh boy, we got something.
Interesting how big Trent Williams is too, a key piece.
Yeah, and he didn't play Week 18, obviously, in the last Seahawks-Niners match.
Week 18 is so irrelevant for this team.
So irrelevant. Get him, Blutman.
And I thought a football nerd like you would love the Savant Shanahan stuff and how they utilize use-check with the motion, how use-check steps up in the receiving game with Kittle out, how good Jake Thomas was when Kittle was out at the beginning of the year, how they have DeMarcus Robinson, Jawan Jenks, and Sky Moore contributing at a high level for no reason.
I am not discrediting the Niners.
Seems so.
2 points. To call Week 18 irrelevant when they were playing for a 1 seed and home field advantage out of the playoffs, I think is insanity. And secondly,
they didn't want to play near the electrical substation.
Well, yeah, that's true. I forgot. I did not know about the EMPs.
We were legitimately talking about the electrical substation on the cave stream. 3 plays later, Kittle's Achilles.
I did not. That's on me. I didn't factor the EMPs into my analysis. But you also do have to remember, this is savant on savant. When you're talking about McDonald versus Shanahan. I mean, this is schematic genius on schematic genius right here. And I just think that what McDonald has personnel-wise is stronger than this Frankenstein's monster that Shanahan's put together.
I love schematics. You need a good coach. This show in particular, I think we've talked too much schematics. I think we've talked too many X's and O's and not the Jimmies and Joes.
Yeah.
Yes, schematics is great. You need a good coach. Give me the Jimmies and Joes.
Dudes.
All right.
Let's talk dudes.
Yes.
All right, well, let's talk dudes. I still want to have the Eagles conversation, but we can come back around.
Oh, this is a good dudes game.
Let's get to Bills Jags because you talk about dudes and Josh Allen. I mean, look, the Bills have a great offensive line. They don't have a lot of skill positions. And so basically it's on Josh Allen in that front to get it done, and they find a way. The door is now wide open. Josh Allen hype train. They get the road win off their back, right? Since 92, they had it 1-1. McDermott's first road win, and now the Bills feel very real to potentially make it to the Super Bowl. Yes, Brand.
I consider myself a ball watcher, a ball knower. I think everybody here is a ball watcher and a ball knower, at least until like 8:30 p.m. Eastern time for Dave. But
I've stayed up throughout the playoffs. I'm on Adderall right now, and I will be through the Super Bowl.
I know the rules of football. If I'm watching, I pride myself, and a flag's down, I'm like, that's an eligible man downfield. I know that. That's illegal touching. I got that.
Yep. I
know that you can push the ball carrier. I know that you can push the ball carrier along. When he runs into the pile, you push him, and he gets the first down. When did we become allowed to pick up the ball carrier as an offensive lineman and run him towards the goal line?
That was so cool because it was like two.
When did this happen? When did we decide, hey, I'm just going to pick up Josh Allen and run 5 yards with him? I didn't know we could do that.
I think the Jags are trying to push him into the end zone themselves so they can keep a timeout.
And by the way, beside from that, this play brings up a good point. Sean McDermott, we're talking schemes and X's and O's, Jimmy Joe's. He'll screw up a game for you. Him scoring on that first down, when you're at the inch and they've shown absolutely zero ability to stop Josh Allen's QB sneak, they can't stop him for less than 3 yards. he's so lucky that didn't come back and bite him. All you need is a field goal with a guy who can kick 90-yard field goals on the other side. You gave him a full minute. That was crazy, Mike McDermott, to score on first down.
And one more thing about that game, and it got lost in the shuffle after the game, and we don't talk about it because it was kind of irrelevant. The referee that was on that sideline, the side judge that was on that sideline, spotting the ball on that final drive. Josh Allen's butt hit the ground at the 1 yard line, maybe the 1.5, and he runs in there screaming touchdown. Hold on, he runs in there screaming touchdown, and then a couple plays before that, he ran in at the first down line when he was short a yard there. Like, this is the playoffs. It's got to be best on best. That guy shouldn't be out there.
Yeah, it was insane. That was absolutely insane. And further on this game, this is just, and Trevor Lawrence didn't play bad, but he made a couple real bad throws. And when you're playing Josh Allen, you can't do it. Like, you just can't do it. That's simply the difference. Both interceptions were bad throws from Trevor. Like, into cover, that's a terrible throw. The tip ball on first down, can't do it. When you're playing Josh Allen, you cannot do it. And if you switch quarterbacks on these teams, it's not even close. The Jags win this game by a mile because Josh Allen is making. When we talk about Justin Herbert not making plays, Josh Allen was under siege in the first half, making plays, and that's a superstar.
Yeah, I mean, again, it goes back to what we talked about earlier with Herbert. The other, you saw the quarterbacks that had the moments, and one of them was Josh Allen off the back heel, 40-plus yards in the fourth quarter. That's a back-and-forth affair. And this was like, I don't know if maybe this is unfair to the Bills, but they seemed so flawed this year. This almost felt like the speed bump that they needed to get over, getting the road playoff win, and now it feels like, okay, they're off and running. Like, are the Bills now the favorite in the AFC? Now, Dave, I know you may still say Patriots.
Well, no, they're definitely not the favorite. I mean, the AFC is so wide open. Right. It's incredible. I honestly think all the teams left, assuming – well, it's a big assumption. It's only a field goal. It's at Pittsburgh. I don't think Pittsburgh can win it, but everybody else, the Texans, all of these other teams can still win it. And again, I want to go back. Just think about, and Trevor Lawrence, again, I don't mean to pile on him, but he throws an interception when you need a field goal in like the first play of the drive. Could you ever picture Josh Allen, Mahomes ever doing that in a million years? No, you just don't. It's just, are they going to get us in field goal range or are they going to score a touchdown? To throw an interception in that situation is unheard of, and a lot of growing still left for Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, still.
Are they the favorite? No. But especially in their locker room, they know they're going into every game with the best quarterback. That's what they believe.
And by far the most postseason experience.
They got the best quarterback left. And if you've got the best quarterback left, and Drake May will have his chance to step up and grab that, and the other guys will have their chance to step up and grab it. But right now, with no Mahomes out there in his way, with no Jalen Hurts who won a Super Bowl in his way, with like these guys who have done it before out of the way, Josh Allen and the Bills have to feel like this is their year.
Yeah, and really maybe the other most experienced guy that could be potentially in his way is on the other side. That's the Rams. They go into Carolina. It's a very good game. Carolina acquits themselves well for the underdog they were supposed to be. It looks like they have the lead with 2 minutes left. But again, the quarterback makes the plays at the end to win. That's what shines on this stage. And the throw to why am I blanking on the tight end's name? I said
Parkinson.
The throw to Parkinson and the catch, the execution was a thing of beauty, and the Rams escape Carolina with a round one win.
Can I admit something to you about how basic I am? Mm-hmm. You know, the Rams, it looked like in the first half.
That was a hell of a throw by Bryce Young, by the way.
It looked like in the first half they were going to blow them out.
Yeah, 14-0, about to be
out. It looked like they were going to blow them out. And even though they won 34-31, it was very close. I just never was able to convince myself the Rams had a chance to lose this game. Even though it came down to the end, 38 seconds, it just always felt like they were the superior team and they were going to do it in the end. And maybe that's my mistake. It just always felt like they were toying with the Panthers and they kind of played a little bit too long with them. But like the Rams were just far superior with the far superior quarterback.
That's how I felt too. And I think we're just even rewatching the highlights when you're down 4 and you score 30 seconds. Like how can anybody think they didn't have a chance? I think a lot of it, because I was like you, Walker. In fact, I may have tweeted something out that came back to bite me, that's saying there should never be 8 and 9 teams in the playoffs. It's a joke. And then obviously they come back. But when you are an 8 and 9 team and you shouldn't be in the playoffs and you backed your way in through a series of luck and whatever, the Panthers played terribly in the first half, right? Yeah. So it was kind of expecting them to beat the Rams and pull this double-digit upset off. You would think they'd have to play perfect football, and they played far from it. I mean, they fumbled the punt, I think. They just looked terrible. They got stuff going for a fourth down. It's like, all right, this game's not close. And my brain never just caught up. So I was like, there's no way they're going to play a bad first half and still somehow beat the Rams. I think people are crowning the Rams as a shoo-in for the Super Bowl early in the season. I don't know how good the Rams are, to be honest. It's so close. It's so this league, everybody is so close. That's why these playoffs have been so great.
Well, it's evidence in the graphic here. Look at this: 13-5 Rams against the 8-10 Panthers. Well, you look at that and you say, "Oh, they're going to blow them out every time." It was 34-31. They scored with 30 seconds
and they played
left.
Poorly. Yeah. They didn't have a good first half.
The margins are so tight. I mean, Underwood gets the big scramble touchdown, 17-14. Okay, game on, but then Puka Nacua has a drop pass away from seemingly ending all of the momentum that the Panthers had, but he didn't make the play. And credit to the Panthers. Bigger credit to the Rams. They advance. All right. When we get back, we got Coach Gruden Shred Line. We still got a lot more NFL talk coming up as well. We got stock up and stock down. So stick around. This is Wake Up Barstool on FS1.
Bad refs. What about when they reversed that spot in the Patriots game? I'd never seen that before.
Yeah.
I only hear it. Now I do.
Welcome back to Wake Up Barstool. It's time for Coach John Gruden Shred Line.
Shred 'em, love that. Shred 'em, cut you like a surgeon. Leave them streets burning, burning, burning. Shred, 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 shred.
Wow, it's great to be back. Thanks for having me. How about the Miami Hurricanes?
Uh-oh.
Let's start with some shreds, guys, and let's start with Carson Beck of the Miami Hurricanes. How about this shot at the end of the half? He drops a dime to a wide-open Hurricane to set the stage for a huge win. And this young receiver they have, Malachi Toney, have you seen a more exciting college football player than this guy? Ooh. I mean, he's got stop-and-start quickness. If he ran a shuttle, you wouldn't see it. He's so quick. And then the scramble at the end of the game by Carson Beck has the Miami Hurricanes back in the title game for the first time in almost 20 years. I can't wait. And the Indiana Hoosiers, led by Fernando Mendoza. How about this shred job against Oregon? Tight window corner route, 50-50 ball to Becker down the sideline. Fernando Mendoza. How about this shot right down the seam? He throws on a double move coming up here in just a second. Mendoza can do it all. They have great play design. They have balance between the run and the pass.
Yep.
And I'm starting to get excited about the Raiders again right now, because just like the New England Patriots, they're going to have a young quarterback that's athletic, smart, and tough. But Indiana proved they can beat Oregon here or there. They can beat the Ducks anywhere. 56 points. They shredded them. And how about Matt Stafford of the LA Rams? I mean, if this guy's not the MVP, there needs to be an investigation. Tight window to Puka. How about this choice route? How about the choice route McVay dials up in the red zone to Kyron Williams? Watch this guy come out of the backfield and just shred that linebacker. That was a thing of beauty. Put it on a training reel. And then to win the game in the fourth quarter, a back shoulder fade to Parkinson. This is a tight end, man. What a throw on all-go switch. Beautiful play. And Caleb Williams of the Chicago Bears. How about this play on 4th and 8, running to his left, breaking a tackle, and hitting Loveland for this gash? This Caleb Williams has ice water in his veins. I mean, he loves adversity. He loves the misery. This guy just keeps hanging around. He keeps fighting. And give Ben Johnson and this Chicago Bear coaching staff all the credit you can think of. Swift makes this a game. They go for 2. They dial up the perfect play, and Caleb is on point. And this is a heck of a comeback against the team, the Green Bay Packers, that has had your number for years. And for Caleb Williams to do to the Packers what Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers has done to them, good for him. And then finally, how about Josh Allen? the beast of the East. There's another fake bubble screen that T-Bob likes. They hit the tight end for a touchdown. Have you ever seen a push? You know, Sean McDermott was criticizing this play last year. How about if he puts it in his offense and he just pummels Jacksonville? What a performance by the beast.
How do you not have your son setting a powerlifting record, Deuce, 483 pounds here? How is this not on the shred line?
Yeah, this is awesome. This kid has been working his whole life. He loves the powerlifting circuit. This is a great sport. I don't know if you guys have ever been to one of these live events, but there's a lot of guys that love to lift weights, and nobody loves it more than Deuce. Congratulations, son. This is awesome.
Coach, what's the weight class here?
Well, I think he's 83 kilos. He's 181 pounds.
181.
And, you know, when you bench press 483 pounds at 180 with a pause, that's pretty freaking historic, man. I love it. But that's a national record, and obviously Cindy and I are very proud of him.
Great shred.
Yeah, man.
Great shred line.
Unreal job by Deuce there. Coach, I got a question on Caleb Williams. So when I was growing up, my old man used to always make jokes about Elway and be like, yeah, I mean, he was incredible in the fourth quarter because he would suck for the first three quarters. And then he would just like turn it on. Like in your experience in this game, have you found any traits or managed to suss out, like, what is it about some of these guys that can look kind of mundane, but then when the adversity is the highest, everything seemingly changes?
That's a great point. He reminds me of Brett Favre. That's how Brett was when we were with him early in his career. He would throw rocket balls for the first 7 or 8 passes. He was all hyped up. He was excited. Perhaps he overthought some things, but Caleb looks like he's the same way, but he relies on his athleticism. They make great adjustments. He really kind of just feels himself into the game. Once he gets, I think, the speed of it, I think once he gets acclimated, he just is, he's unbelievable what he's been able to do in the fourth quarter this year. He reminds me of Brett Favre. I'm speechless.
Coach, what about Ben Johnson with the in the post locker room? F the Packers.
Yeah, I don't know where this is coming from, man, but you know, George Halas and Curly Lambeau, if you go way back in time, they hated each other. And that's how this rivalry started. And I kind of feel the same hatred between he and LaFleur, but that could be something that really comes back to haunt him if he's not careful. You got to be careful going that far, I think.
Coach, and his press conference, he's like, I love beating LaFleur twice a year, and then he comes in with an F the Packers. Yeah, I love it. I mean, as a fan, I love it. I absolutely love it. And you're sitting there in Green Bay. I mean, you don't even want to get out of bed after that.
I know it. I love it too. It's one of the great rivalries. I got a chance to experience it for 3 years. And just to see Chicago flip the tables, it is really cool to see.
Any thoughts on the post-game handshake? Very truncated, very quick post-game handshake.
I love it, man. I just think it's great. I think they should put these guys in one of those cages in Vegas and let them fight like a UFC fight, man.
During your career, did you ever have any of these, whether it be like Jimmy Johnson, Buddy Ryan, he just got his fat butt out of there. Did you ever have any of these moments where you attacked another coach in a post game?
Nah, but you know what, Dave? I had a state of rage. Right or wrong, I kind of got myself in a state of rage to go up against whoever we were playing.
Hell yeah.
We kind of took it real personal. I probably went way overboard. That's probably why I am where I am.
With us.
I just love being with you guys, but I love to see coaches that show their emotions. I mean, they're no different than the players. They want to win just as much as the guys out there with their hand in the grass.
Coach, a read on tonight's game before I let you go.
I picked Houston weeks ago to get to the Super Bowl. I'm a little worried about the depth of their defensive line. I know they got the great edge rushers, but they've lost 3 or 4 really good players that play inside. But I love the Texans. I think they're capable of winning ugly and making themselves formidable throughout this playoff tournament.
There he is, guys. Coach Jon Gruden. We're lucky enough to have him on every single Monday here, watch the NFL show as well. Coach, you're the man. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Coming up next, Davey Day Trading Global stock up, stock down, always fun. Grab a coffee. We got more Wake Up Barstool coming up. Welcome back to FS1. We do it every Monday. It's time for Davey Day Trading Global stock up, stock down. Prez, who's hot and who's not?
Yeah, this is one of my favorite sections. I whip it together. Up, Caleb Williams. I mean, we've talked about it a lot. We were talking about the break, that 4th down throw he made, the comeback against the Packers. This is a guy that I consider myself a QB whisperer. I said I didn't like him coming out of college. He has proven me wrong. Looks like the sky's the limit, and good for Bears fans. Cignetti, how can you not? I mean, I tweeted that Kurt Cignetti, what he is doing in Indiana is one of the most impressive things I've seen in my lifetime in sports. To take that program that you can't even describe how bad they were at football. They were a non-factor. It was one of the worst programs in college football, to turn them into this. And now you look at the Big Ten, and it goes through Bloomington and Ann Arbor. Who would have ever guessed it? Mincy, I can't believe I'm saying it, but despite himself, had one of the most amazing content weekends you'll ever see, with Danny Boy Kane, whose stock is always up, and Ohio State, who's one of my least favorite humans ever to walk the face of the earth. Not because he's an Ohio State fan, for other reasons, but his stock is up too. All three of them putting on a tour de force. Can't believe it, but it was must-watch stuff all weekend with their Ole Miss Miami journeys, and everything Mincy does was can't miss. So stock up for them. Stock down. Tony Romo, we've talked about a little bit. He's just the worst announcer. He may be a nice guy, but he was nonsensical. He was not making sense. He was getting the rules wrong. Just an awful performance. Ifbert, people still trying to defend Justin Herbert. Enough of it. He's got to do something at some point. He stinks. Sirianni, bad. Max, I thought, was so rude to you in the cave. Meek Phil, I hated it. He's fat. Yeah, let's show. Well, no, I don't even want to show the clip because it makes me awkward. He should look in the mirror, lose some weight. Your team is eliminated, and shut up. Bolts Galaxy, we already talked about him. Bolts Galaxy, you can't come at me on social media, say the Chargers are going to show you don't know what you're talking about. Herbert's great. And then when he lays an egg and everything happens what I say, you go private. That stinks. Stock down. My TV in my master bedroom hasn't worked for 3 weeks. Ooh. That's a huge stock down. I'm trying to get it fixed. I can't get it fixed. These games are late. I can't get into bed to watch them. Fine, stock down. The Red Sox, John Henry. What they did, Rafael Devers, who is supposedly the face of the franchise, they have locked up forever. They bring in Bregman to play third base. Don't tell Devers. Devers gets mad. Devers gets shipped out. They get Bregman for a cup of coffee. He signs with the Cubs. John Henry is the worst human alive right now. And the fact they own the Red Sox, they don't care about them. Fenway Sports Group, get these guys out of here. Sell the team. You don't care about the team. You treat us like we're the Minnesota Twins or some small market team. Get John Henry out of here. Marcus Freeman, I don't know what happened. Marcus Freeman, police report at a wrestling match. I don't know if you want to say stock down. I do want to say thank God we have Kyle Whittingham. And at Michigan, I don't have to wake up and worry about seeing my coach in the funny papers. So thank God for that. And there you go. Stock up, stock down.
All
Brandon,
right.
what do you got?
My stock up, Chicago. I am not a Chicago sports fan, but on Saturday, they signed Alex Bregman. They beat the Packers in the playoffs. The Bulls win, the Blackhawks win. What an amazing day. While they're watching the comeback of the Bears and the Packers, during that, Alex Bregman signs with the Cubs. Had to be an amazing day to be a Chicago sports fan. Stock up, Ray Lewis and Michael Irvin. I know we've seen Michael Irvin throughout these playoffs, beating the trash cans with a belt and doing all those things. But did you see the coin toss, Ole Miss Miami? It looked like Ray Lewis was so fired up to play, he was about to cry. He was, as soon as they called heads or tails, he turns to his team and says, "You make them pay for this. You make them pay for this." Like, he was ready to go. They are the best celebrity fans we have going right now. Stock up, being a piece of crap. Everything that went viral last week from Ben Mintz was a product of him just being the worst person in the world. Whether it was him trying to no-show the free steak dinner from Riggs, or wearing the golf shoes everywhere, or leaving the Lucy's in the trash, or ruining the wall and the paint at Biz's house. Everything that was hilarious and great was because he is the worst person imaginable. Any one of those things I just mentioned, if you did it, would be the most embarrassing thing you've done this year. It was just Tuesday for him. Unbelievable content, unbelievable everything, just from being awful and a terrible person. Stock down sideline interviews. I don't know if you saw Caleb Williams the other night after he won. They did an interview with him, and I can't remember the reporter. I apologize for that. She asked 6 questions. It lasted about 6.5 to 7 minutes. All I wanted to see was Caleb Williams celebrate with his teammates or celebrate with everyone. And the interview went on forever and ever and ever and ever. These sideline interviews ruin the flow of every broadcast they ever do. And lastly, stock down. It's not a huge stock down, but it's a conversation we might have at one point. How many blowouts does Dan Lanning get to take in the playoffs? Dan Lanning is a great coach. Dan Lanning has that program humming along, and then they get to the playoffs and they get embarrassed every time. Ohio State beats them to sleep last year. Indiana beats them to sleep this year. At some point, you got to have the team ready to go in the playoffs.
Okay, yeah.
You could argue Harbaugh. Harbaugh was getting smoked, and then he won a national championship.
Yeah, well, and when he can't cheat, look what we got.
All right, stock up. Danny Boy Kane. Not just because Miami won, but guys, what's Ole Miss's actual mascot?
The Rebels.
The Rebel Black Bears.
That's right.
So Danny Boy Kane, now officially a bear attack survivor. After all these years, he's survived the bear attack. Great job by Danny.
Wow.
Stock up.
I don't know. We go there. You're not supposed to go there.
Yeah, that was crazy.
No, guys.
I'm not part of
stock down.
He continually goes there, and he continually
but they're the Rebel.
memo that we don't go there.
But they don't even have the Black Bear anymore.
They're the Rebel Black Bears, guys.
The ball's on you.
They got rid of the Black Bear years ago.
All right, how about
we
this,
don't
Bears?
go there.
Okay, I think I got a stat.
He just called us a great organization, and you go there.
I got a stat. I want to see if you all agree if this is interesting. Stock up, Soldier Field, okay? A lot of Chicago people can't wait to get indoors or getting out of Soldier Field. Provided some magic. It won them the game since 2016. Visiting kickers have only made 54% of their kicks between 40 and 45. The league average is 81%. It's one of the reasons why they win on Saturday. Soldier Field, the wind, the weather, everything, getting it done. Stock up, Soldier Field. Stock up, Tom Brady. As bad as Tony Romo's in the booth, I think Brady's ascending right now. He's fantastic.
I don't get that. I've seen a lot of people say that, but I still don't think he's very good.
Oh, you don't like him?
No,
I love the insight when he was talking about one of the great advantages of being at home is that you got 70 plays where you can make sure that everybody's on the same page. There's just a perspective, a depth. He's talking about what to do with the nose of the ball when you're throwing the wind, how you got to adjust your grip to cut through the wind. I think Tom Brady's really starting to do a good job of translating his unique insights to the viewer at home. And stock up the NFC West. I mean, all 3 teams in the divisional round here. Best division in all of football. I got no stock down, except for Meek Phil trying to ruin the
Well, good. I got one more stock down I forgot to say, which is that girl who brought 8 guys to the VIP table, Mincy. And that one I won't even put on Mincy. It is just a level of arrogance and obnoxiousness that you rarely see to say. And I don't know the total back and what
she's not an Ole Miss grad.
What's that?
She's not an Ole Miss grad. Nope.
Oh.
I don't know who she is, but you don't bring 8 guys to a VIP table. Now, I did the research and figured out how much did we pay for this girl who used Mincy for the table. It wasn't much. It was a bottle of Tito's or something. But still, to show up with 8 guys when you're talking to a guy and sit at the guy's table with 8 guys, that's the first layer of like hell type stuff. She should be ashamed of herself.
She's upset with Mince.
Also, stock up Ohio State. I know it's already been said, but the 10-minute recap specifically, like they're all great. And it's hard to recommend a 10-minute video on the internet, but the 48-hour 10-minute recap he put out is every second is worth the viewing. Shout out Tate.
And sometimes I guess we got this audience of Fox, we assume they're all stoolies, but in case you didn't know, a girl contacted our village idiot who doesn't really have a functioning brain and said she wanted to hang out with him at our bar at Barstool Scottsdale, from what I've gathered, and showed up with 8 guys. No women, just 8 guys. Why is she mad, Blutman?
I don't know. Mincy's just going on, yeah, she's mad at me, she ghosted me.
Yeah, I think just the fact that Tate took pictures of her talking to Biz and Mincy, she's upset about that or something. I don't know. But she invited herself to this thing.
Look,
with 8 guys.
8 guys.
From a rival company, right? I mean,
right. I've heard people say that. That's an insult to me.
Okay, you think that's like putting them on too much?
That's like saying a Pup Warner team is a rival with the Patriot Dynasty. I mean, I didn't even know. The only reason I know this guy exists is
you got
because
into it.
It's his logo. I'd never heard of his company. People saying rival. I don't care about that. But I don't think the guys knew from the reaction. It's all on this girl.
All right, Meek, Liam, I apologize. We'll maybe have a chance at the end. We're going to preview tonight's playoff game coming up next here on Wake Up Barstool. All right, one more playoff game to go. Tonight in Pittsburgh, you got the Steelers, you got the Texans. Texans, of course, coming in winners of 9 in a row. The Steelers got the Monday night at home magic. They haven't lost at home on Monday night since 1992. Dave, you've been, I feel like we've kind of talked both sides today. Where are you falling on this one?
I think it's a very close game. I think the Steelers could win the game at home, at night. It's going to be loud. But I think I think the Steelers could win, but I think the Texans are a Super Bowl threat, if that makes any sense. Like, if the Steelers win, I think they're one and done. They come to New England and they lose to us. I think the Texans could beat the Patriots. I think that would be a toss-up. I think the Texans can beat anybody. I think this game is a toss-up. I guess it speaks to how close it is. There's a part of me that thinks the Steelers are going to come somehow eke this out, which I guess I'd be rooting for because I do think they're an easier matchup for us than the Texans.
Oh, yeah.
So it's all this game. I'm saying the same things over and over. It's anybody's league. For the future of the Patriots, which is how I look at the world right now in the AFC, I'll be rooting for the Steelers tonight. I do think they can win because I think the Texans are a legit Super Bowl contender.
So I have an interesting stat on the Steelers. Their recent playoff games, these were the halftime scores. Down 21-0 at Baltimore, down 21-7 at Buffalo, down 21-7 at Kansas City, down 35-10 versus Cleveland, down 28-14 at Jacksonville. Like, these games have been over at halftime. That's very true. And there's also the home versus Cleveland.
And that's an outlier, too. Storyline-wise, it's an interesting stat, but a lot of hats in there. A lot of hats at better teams.
WSS.
Storyline-wise, I'm just looking forward. What makes them more interesting? What can I see on the marquee more? And Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers against the Patriots next week is so much bigger in my mind. I just think somehow, some way, without reason, Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers are going to win this football game.
I kind of understand that, but I think
Texans are better.
Yeah, that's where I'm kind of falling. I'm just going to fall back on. I'm not going to overthink it. They have the better defense. Defense travels. They've been the better team. They've been way more consistent. I'm going to choose the Texans to win this thing on the road and continue their run. Dave, is it true? Will you be pen and paper? Will you have a legal pad, a computer?
Oh, yeah.
Like, you're going to be scouting this game, locked in.
Oh yeah. Well, at this time of the season, you got to be locked in. Like, you got to know everything. I'll probably have notes, paper. I'll be sending along to the staff, to everybody I know in New England. Hey, watch out this. I woke up this morning from a text from Scott Zolak, who I absolutely love. There was a great video. For those people who don't know, he's the Patriots announcer, and he was getting the crowd all fired up. Actually, it's 1:03 a.m. He texted me, haven't seen Gillette like that since the Ravens divisional game. What a throw to Henry. We back. It's a team effort. Everyone's going to be rowing together. Everyone's going to be locked in. You don't win Super Bowls. You don't get to the Super Bowls if you're not ready for every game. Of course, you're going to be taking notes and seeing what could be coming down the pike. We play on Sunday. I'm ready to go. I'm going to be as locked into this game as though the Patriots were playing.
Yeah, look, all you got to do is get your phone and just voice text after every play. Just voice text everybody so they know exactly what's going on.
We're not done yet.
Danny boy, we're not going to be done yet. That is a video GIF that will live on whenever you need it. Hey, we're leaving the bar. We're not done yet.
We're not done
We're
yet.
not done. In fact,
we're not done yet.
We're not done yet. We got one more segment of Wake Up Barstool on the other side.
And they weren't done yet.
They were not
They
done.
were not. He knew.
Welcome back to Wake Up Barstool. All right, guys. We didn't give the boys their stock up, stock down. Meek, take it away real quick here.
My first stock up, Big Dom. I'm not sure you saw a stat line, but he had more catches than A.J. Brown in the second half of that Eagles-49ers game. Also stock up, Mac Jones, the only 2021 quarterback to be drafted that's still in the playoffs currently. Trevor Lawrence is out, Trey Lance is out, Zach Wilson's out, Justin Fields is out. So Mac Jones, stock up. Also stock up, Centel accounts, because Ohio State Centel was running ravage over last week. And shout out to Quiggs for making up some good content with some sunflower seeds and FaceTimes. Down, the 2020 QB class. We have to start looking at that class as fool's gold because Joe Burrow can't make the playoffs consistently. Justin Herbert stinks. Tua's gotten benched. Jordan Love, you don't even know what he is. Jalen Hurts.
Oh, Jordan Love's pretty good.
I mean,
I like the heat of the take, though.
But like,
I do like the heat of the take.
That class is not.
Can't
as
put
good
Jordan
as
Love, though. Jordan Love played great.
Also, the Red Sox. Dave pointed out or before they messed up the Alex Bregman stuff. They still have not signed a free agent to a major league deal, and it's January 12th. The only team in baseball to do that.
Bloody.
Up, obviously, obviously Quiggs. We don't deserve Quiggs' brain. He is a special guy. What an account with Ohio State Centel. Hockey fights at Hershey Bears games with little kids. Unbelievable. Also stock up golf. I'm a simple guy. I've grown older and I've just loved to sit back, relax on the couch, watch some golf on TV. Golf back this week, Sony Open. Can't wait to watch. Great 4-day event as always with golf. Stocks down. Oregon, as Brandon alluded to, there does need to be a conversation. How about Dan Lanning? Lupoy out, Stein out. They're losing coordinators. They're losing players at a rapid rate in the portal right after losing in the playoff. Tough scene at Oregon. Kevin Patullo, you can't win the big games with that small name. And Labubu's. Labubu's are done. Big Dom, Labubu, done.
Damn.
Stock down. I'll do this in 20 seconds. I was at a golf event with DraftKings owner. I invited 3 guys from Barstool Sports. DraftKings did the logistics. It was Yandel, Whitney, White Chocolate, Jason Williams in the clubhouse, walking to the first tee. This Jason Williams from Duke showed up. I said, "What are you doing here?" He didn't even seem surprised when they said Dave invited him. We hadn't talked ever. I never talked to the guy. Played 2 days with us. Great guy. It was supposed to be White Chocolate, though.
There you go. But you got along with him, huh? Everything went well?
Oh, yeah, you make a new friend.
There you go.
Or Jay Will,
All
we
right,
played at
guys.
the Grove. He missed out.
Great Monday show. We'll be back tomorrow for more Wake Up Barstool.